Come in, Southern California. This is Radio Free Los Angeles. Do you copy? Repeat, do you copy?
Now broadcasting from behind the Iron Curtain in the People's Republic of California, we bring you the voice of free men, free markets, and limited constitutional government. Welcome to citizen-sponsored Radio Free Los Angeles, with the president of the California Tax Limitation Committee, Mike Alexander, and America's funniest reporter, Carl Kozlowski.
All right, in my life, this is Mike Alexander. Welcome back, everybody. And permit me to start by wishing all of you out there a happy Easter, and particularly those who are in the studio with me tonight. Carl, how are you tonight?
I'm just grand, sir. Carl Kozlowski at your service.
All right, and we have Jonathan Wilson here with us again.
Good to be here on Easter evening.
And Jonathan's wearing a very sporting pink, very Eastery suit. It's very refreshing.
Oh, yeah.
You got to get your pastels on, right?
It's incredible.
Yeah.
And he said he got it for $17 at Steinmart, so there's your conservative
Carl,
economic principles.
You didn't need to say that live
on
the air. That was just between me and you.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's so good. It shows you're good with money, which is smart and good for our message.
That's right.
Okay.
Well, now that we're doing it,
Sorry,
is this a shopping channel, you
kidding.
guys? All right. Well, we can kind of have a little bit of fun tonight. We started this radio show in mid-January, and since that, in like 8 short weeks or 10 short weeks here, I've actually picked up, believe it or not, 2 of the busiest or deadest nights that there are in the year. That's Super Bowl night.
Oh my God!
And now we're here on Easter, and as I was driving around Pasadena and Altadena today, I noticed how very many families were out with each other at the park. And when I was looking at that, I was very happy for them. It's a great family day, but I was thinking to myself, man, it's going to be a skinny audience tonight. But in any event...
well, they might be fat if they had enough proper food.
I'm telling
Enjoy
you.
your baked hams and leg of lambs.
Oh, we did. We were little. We did the Easter egg hunt with 3 of our grandchildren today. And you spent today with your aunt out there?
Yeah, some of it, yeah.
Good. And how about you, Jonathan?
Well, I tell you what, I sort of relaxed today, but I did work on the Taxpayer Gazette for a good portion of the day.
Oh, yeah. We've got a lot to talk about here tonight. I'm going to take the program in a few different directions I didn't even tell these guys about tonight, since it's a kind of a softer night. We could be a little flexible. Yeah, we got our Jonathan's got his pink jacket on, and I've got my Easter kind of pinkish red tie on.
Yeah, you're looking very Eastery.
Yeah, the kids,
you got a nice festive cream colored suit going.
Are we on?
We're on
Facebook today.
Yeah, we're on.
Tune in, tell your friends, look at Facebook Live, because these guys are just adorable today.
Oh yeah,
that sounded a little weird. Okay,
hey,
I forgot to wear a jacket at all. I'm
That's
a slob.
Right. You can watch our Facebook feed at radiofreelosangeles.net as well.
Hey, thank you. If you tell me you got a hot tub, we're done. All right.
Wait, we're hiding the hot tub.
All right. In any event, as you know, over the last several weeks, folks, we've been going over taxpayer issues. And even on Sunday night, we've got to give you an update, because we know that's why most of you come to this channels to hear what we're doing. And, the audience is building here, and there's a lot of interest in a really very small election out in Sierra Madre. Sierra Madre is a city in the position between Pasadena and Arcadia. It has about 3 square miles, and 15,000 people.
11,000, and it's so small they only have one stoplight in the whole town.
Yeah,
I love that.
It's amazing. It is a beautiful, gorgeous town, and people understandably love it. I would like very much to keep their quality of life out there. And they've got this very obnoxious tax out there called the utility users tax. And we've worked, when I say we, the California Tax Limitation Committee and TPAC and a lot of volunteers have worked with other citizens in the city to address the city's tax structure, but most particularly, we have tried to address through the vehicle of utility user tax repeal the deep debt problems that Sierra Madre and every other city has in the state of California. Almost. There are some exceptions, but by and large, most cities have a tremendous amount of money that they owe because they have paid their public employees too much money. They have promised them benefits that really cannot be paid for, will not be paid for, but represent a huge drag on the balance sheet of these cities. Cities are very, very expensive enterprises to run, even when you're running them well, even when you're running them efficiently. These are large undertakings, and they soak up a lot of money. They require a fair amount of talent. They don't require the kinds of salaries and benefits that they're being paid. But they are demanding. There's no question about that. And as Dr. Rod Kiewit pointed out to us here a few weeks ago when he was here talking about the problems in Sierra Madre and other cities throughout the state of California, these amenities, these things we call cities and services in these cities are part of the very fabric of society. In fact, the word civis, C-I-V-I-S, means city, and it is the root word of civilization. So these places that we call cities that grew up in Athens and in other places and came to be the kinds of places that people wanted to live, these are very, very important issues for all of us. They are the places that we raise our families and so forth. They're really too important to ignore when their very existence is being threatened. So we're getting a lot of feedback and complaints.
And pushback.
And pushback from a lot of people who have told us that they just want us to leave. Now, I'm going to talk about that outsiders issue here in a few minutes because I strongly suspect that all of those who are telling us to go away because we're outsiders, first of all, ignore the fact that there's a lot of people in Sierra Madre who aren't happy with us and haven't been happy with it for a long time. So it's really not us. Don't accuse us of coming in there and scaring the children. That scaring game is something that you guys engage in. After all, we're not the ones that are threatening to shut down the city. We're trying to point out that the city out there in many, many, many other cities, Glendale, Pasadena, South Pasadena, city after city after city in the state of California, is in the gravest peril of actually going out of business because their cost of business is way too high. They're understating the amount that they owe for these pensions, and we are gradually on a trajectory to where we're going to be paying more and more and more for people who are no longer employed, for services that were rendered a long time ago. We're not going to be able to pay those pensions, and when that time comes, two things are going to happen. The quality of life that you're so crazy about is going to disappear, not because of what we said or did, but because of what they have said and done, or more particularly, what they haven't done to control their spending habits. We're not going to shut the cities down. They're doing that. And in the city of Sierra Madre, in effect, they have acknowledged in the recent city attorney memorandum that if they lose $2.6 million in revenue ever at any time or any truly significant part of it, why the whole city has to shut down. Well, thank you for making our point. Because if it's not the $2.6 million in utility tax revenues that you're losing that shut you down, sooner or later having to pay that debt is going to shut you down because you just can't ignore forever. Even CalPERS cannot ignore forever the fact that you owe them at a minimum of $10 million, and more likely, according to the Stanford Group, it's more like $40 million. Well, at some point, those chickens come home to roost. At some point, you're going to have to pay that or an increasing amount of it. At some point, you become illiquid. And unless you're nuts, you know that's a problem. Hey, Sully, how many minutes do we have in there? Got 2 minutes. There's a guy named Jack from Sierra Madre that we're going to bring on the air. Jack, you want to talk about Sierra Madre salaries. Go. Are you there, Jack?
I am here. I appreciate your show a lot, and I gotta tell you, I don't agree. They pay the people of that town too much money.
Yes.
$230,000 to be a city manager?
Yes. Well, I think it's at least that. Isn't it more than that?
Yeah, it's about $233,000.
Yeah.
Jack, you live in Sierra Madre?
I do.
And
I can't even believe I just been hearing about this.
And are you for?
Out of control.
Do you want to repeal Measure D, or do you want to repeal the utility users tax rather?
Yeah. Why are we paying taxes? Oh, so you know what I heard? I went to the city town meeting and they said we might have to do away with our 4th of July parade. Really?
Right.
How
Well-
much you take up 50?
All right. Well, Jack, we want to thank you for calling in. I'm not sure what to make of that, but we can't disagree with the point that Jack made, or she, or he, or whatever. But in any event, this is a lighter evening, and but Jack, we appreciate your passion. All right, now we're going to be coming back here in a few minutes. We'll continue our discussion of these important fiscal issues. Call us if you have a chance. What's our number here, guys?
866-870.
5752.
You've got it. Thank you. See you in a few.
Oh, my Lord.
If you like what you're hearing and would like to support Radio Free Los Angeles and the California Tax Limitation Committee, please call area code 626-792-1772, 626-792-1772, or kindly visit our website, catlc.net, catlc.net. You can also watch Radio Free Los Angeles on Facebook Live at radiofreela.us.
If you'd like to talk with Radio Free Los Angeles, the phone lines are wide open. 866-870-KRLA. That's 866-870-5752. We're live, local, and here to talk with you. 866-870-KRLA.
All right, Mike Alexander back with you here, Radio Free Los Angeles. And, if you're in the charitable mood, hey, you got some entertainment every once in a while here.
I hope Jack's okay out there. It sounds like he's could use some CPR or something. I don't know.
Oh, I know.
Perhaps a Heimlich, but hopefully Jack can hold a good fight there.
But it sounds like he's on our side.
I know. What I want to.
It sounds like something. I don't know.
The person I'm worried about is our call screener. I don't know who the hell let him through. But at any rate, yes.
Boy, we're just clearly reaching an audience of movers and shakers.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll take any call. Give us a call.
Apparently.
That shows you, don't feel nervous about calling on air.
Yeah.
We had Jack on tonight.
I know. Yeah, I run a talk show.
What?
I said I run a talk show, man. I'm gonna be bigger Limbaugh, man.
Oh my God.
Hey, you gotta start somewhere, man. Okay.
Yeah. Oh my.
So we'll always remember Jack. All right.
Love you,
well,
Jack.
in any event, Jack did raise one important point.
Yeah.
And that is that the fact of high salaries is obvious even to, shall we say, the most limited among us in the city of Sierra Madre. And if you look at the salaries, you'll know. I'm sorry, I'm so distracted. But anyway,
Well, I mean,
okay.
just to say, 230,000. That probably was a real stat there for city manager of a town of 11,000. Now, do the math, people. This is ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
what do they manage? One stoplight, literally one stoplight. That's what you're managing out there.
Yeah, exactly. It is, of course, their business. Now, that brings us to one of the more important announcements that we've ever made.
Oh.
And that is about our new publication at the California Tax Limitation Committee called the Taxpayer Gazette. And this Gazette is the brainchild of our group here. We came together, and one of the things that came out of our previous experience was our key insight that that the people, the voters in these cities, really didn't know how much money was being spent in their names. They didn't realize how high the salary and benefits were. They did not realize who the real 1%ers are in this country, and that is the elite public employees of the state of California.
No kidding.
Not all public employees are compensated this well throughout the country. For example, our highest generals and secretaries of state and so forth are not compensated
really?
at that level. Oh, no.
Do you know what the range is, just off the top of your head?
Sure.
If your Secretary of State say, what do you get?
Well, I think that he's capped is something under $200,000 a year.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't the president as well?
President makes $400,000, except Trump, like Schwarzenegger did, because they're known to be so wealthy. They've waiving their salaries.
Right.
But yeah, president normally makes $400,000.
Right. And just a few, not so long ago, it was under $2. I think it went to $400 during the Clinton administration.
Yeah,
that of course is not our beef. But now when you stop to think that a president draws $400,000, of course that's just the beginning of his real compensation. You can't really
got free rent on the greatest house in the world.
Yeah. And his form of public transportation is very special. But in any event, if you just compare the executive levels of what they're responsible for versus a governor of a state, for example, Jerry Brown, think of him what you will, but he doesn't make as much as as many of these city managers do, who are $300,000 or more per year.
Long Beach, $387,000 we learned last week, $387,000, $13,000 short of running the U.S.
That's correct. We have so many police and fire who make far more money than their counterparts who are generals and admirals and people with enormous responsibilities. So you can come to one or the other conclusion. Either these local guys are overcompensated, or the people who actually have responsibility for the full security of the United States are grossly underpaid. I think it's more a case of the former than the latter. In any event, the amount that the former earns, whether that is right, wrong, or different, it's more than anybody can afford to pay. Now, while we're on the subject, I'm going to come back to the Gazette here in a few minutes here, but we have Mike from El Segundo that would like to discuss general city financial spending. Mike.
Hi, thank you. I'm a former city councilman from my city, El Segundo.
Yes.
And from what I've learned over several decades now, the city employee unions, especially the police and fire unions, are pushing cities up and down the state towards bankruptcy. Mm-hmm. And just as an example, in El Segundo, we've been paying police and firefighters from over $150,000 per year to some of them over $385,000 per year total compensation, including all the special compensation add-ons and cashing out their vacation sick leave and their CalPERS pension contributions. We had a former police chief that in his last year when he was retiring, he got paid just slightly under $600,000 that year.
Wow.
Jeez.
Yeah, and we're a small city. We're a very small city.
Yeah, I've been there.
16,000 population. We're about 5.5 square miles. Small police department, small fire department. But what happens is the police and fire unions get involved in our city council elections, and they campaign, and they lie. They say they're endorsing the candidates who will be the best for our public safety when they're really endorsing the candidates who will give them the biggest increases in pay and pensions and then give the residents and businesses the biggest tax and fee increases to pay for it.
Yes. That's right.
Well, I don't understand. Maybe, Mike, you can clarify.
Yeah.
Why would the city council side with the public employees and not the residents?
Well,
Because
hey,
the
we got Mike
unions
on
Yeah,
there.
that's what, yeah.
The
Go
unions
ahead.
get them elected. The unions spend a boatload of money campaigning to get them elected. There's both direct contributions and the independent expenditures. And in the case of the fire unions, they're on duty 24 hours, and then they're off duty for 48 hours. They're on duty 48 hours, they're off duty for 4 days. So they got 4 days of every 6-day cycle to go knocking on doors campaigning for their candidates.
Right.
And there have been some elections where they did that, where they canvassed the city 4 times, knocking on every door. And one way to combat that, which I've done in many elections, is I put out a citywide literature drop listing all their salaries. So I sort them from highest to lowest. And the city manager is not even close to the top. You got a lot of police officers and firefighters making a lot more than the city manager.
Dang.
Right.
And so when the people see how much money is being paid out, just unbelievable, towards our police and firefighters, as much as we respect the profession, we do not respect the corruption of their unions.
Yes.
And then when people see why there's all this pressure to raise taxes to keep the city from going bankrupt, then they connect the dots together and see how corrupt it is. And then they vote for the candidates not endorsed by the police and fire unions.
So were you successful in Santa Ana?
No,
I did not get involved in Santa Ana.
Sorry, El Segundo.
El Segundo. I'm sorry.
El Segundo.
Yeah, he got mixed up. Sorry.
That's okay. But the same thing that's been going on in El Segundo is going on in Manhattan Beach, Redondo Beach, Torrance. It's going on up and down the state.
Right.
And the problem is a lot of people have respect for police and firefighters as their professions, but the problem is they don't understand the unions are totally corrupt.
Oh, yeah.
And the unions are bankrupting the cities. We're paying out pensions for police and firefighters between $100,000 and $200,000 a year. They get multi-million-dollar pensions after only 30 years of service to max out on their pensions.
Right.
So under CalPERS, the pension formula got increased. I believe it was with State Senate Bill 400 in 1999, effective 2000, which claimed that it would be financially sustainable when it was not.
Correct.
But those pension formulas got increased to 3% per year of service. So they get 3% of their single highest year pay in El Segundo, something that might be the average of the 3 highest years of pay.
Right.
Okay, which is already unsustainable. So 3% per year of service, with the maximum number of years of service being 30 years. So they get to retire with 90% of their single highest year pay in El Segundo, plus they get annual cost of living adjustments that are roughly around $3,000 or $4,000 per year.
Right.
The problem is it doesn't reflect private sector or real world economics, because the government employees are getting defined benefit plans, meaning it's guaranteed what they get paid out, even if the taxpayers have to pay more and more taxes to fund it. But in private sector, you have what's called a defined contribution plan, like a 401k, for example,
right,
where what's defined is how much the employer contributes and how much the employee contributes. And then it's based on the investment performance and how much the employee puts in.
That's correct. Mike, you're on fire out there, and you're hitting all the major points that we have made here repeatedly, and I'm delighted to have somebody who is sat, in effect, on the board of directors of a smaller city, but here,
call it city council, but
yes,
it's effectively a board of directors. You're right.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I meant. Yeah, it's obviously a city council. You guys are there, and just to show you, the city of El Segundo, if you want to go, anybody listening here, you want to find out where we get our information from. The Stanford Economic Institute, I forget what it is, the exact name there, but they run this website called pensiontracker.org.
That's good. There's another excellent website. It's called transparentcalifornia.com or .org. I forget which.
We know them well. Yes.
That one has the salaries, the annual salaries of government employees for cities and counties and school districts up and down
pensions.
Even for University of California. And we've got college professors at UCLA making over $400,000 a year to indoctrinate students to be communists and to hate our country and hate the taxpayers.
Right on. Now, down there in El Segundo, and yes, Transparent California is one of our major sources, good people. They're one and all. In the city of El Segundo, your actuarial liability, your pension debt, that is the amount that you have not yet set aside to meet future obligations, according to CalPERS, is $111 million, believe it or not. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable.
And as a matter of fact, though, if you look at it from a pension, from a market perspective, that is, if you use real live investment returns of something closer to 4% rather than the 7.5%, which I call a fake return number, you get a pension liability, a market pension liability, down in El Segundo of about $366 million.
Holy
and that's
smoke.
That's a small city.
Here's another point, which is that El Segundo, last time I checked, I believe it was paying in 50% of the police and firefighter salaries into CalPERS.
Yes.
The employees pay at most 9%. For quite a while, the police had the city paying the employee contribution of 9% as well as the city contribution. And CalPERS keeps sending out letters, I'm not sure if it's once or twice a year, every so often, to the cities, including El Segundo, saying your rate that you have to pay, your percentage of the employee salaries has just gone up again. So it keeps going up. That's and
correct.
up and up.
That's
and
correct.
It's going to get to the point, like with the city of Vallejo.
Hey, Mike, I want you to. Can you stay on through the break? Please stay on. We got a hard break coming up. This is Radio Free Los Angeles. Mike Alexander, please call us at area code
866-870-5752.
See you after the break.
Come in, Southern California. This is Radio Free Los Angeles. Do you copy? Repeat, do you copy?
Now broadcasting from behind the Iron Curtain in the People's Republic of California, we bring you the voice of free men, free markets, and limited constitutional government. Welcome to citizen-sponsored Radio Free Los Angeles with the president of the California Tax Limitation Committee, Mike Alexander, and America's funniest reporter, Carl Kozlowski.
All right, everybody, happy Easter to you, and welcome back to the second half hour. We have a total of 3 half hours tonight. We'll be going from now until 9:30. And as we start our second half hour, we want to thank you for joining us. And please go to radiofreelosangeles.net and click that contribution button there, because this is, after all, citizen-sponsored radio. Everything that happens out there at the federal level, at the state level, at the local level, all happens in our name. This is still a free country. I know sometimes it doesn't seem like that. We're certainly not as free as we used to be, but we still have the vote. We have the ability to go to the polls and to cast our vote and to make changes. It is our responsibility. If we don't save our country, if we don't move out of this mess that we're in, shame on us, not on anybody else. There's always bad guys out there. There's always somebody willing to attack us. There's always somebody willing to steal from us or to hustle us or con us. That's where we are. It's our job as citizens to wake up and do the hard work that is necessary in a democracy, in a free society, to keep it free. That's what we have to do. That's why we're here on Sunday night, even on Easter night, is to preserve and protect our liberties. And sometimes it's doggone painful to do that, but not as painful as failing to face up to our responsibilities. And one of those areas is a collapsing public financial picture that we've been discussing for weeks and months and years, actually, before we even got on this program here. And one of the things we've been discussing here of late is high pension obligations and the threat they pose to cities. So we've held over from our first half hour Mike from El Segundo. Mike, are you there, my friend?
I sure am.
Thank you.
Something I really want to point out before I forget is that whenever voters receive a campaign mailer that says it's from the Police Officers Association or the Firefighters Association, sometimes it might be maybe Benevolent Association or something, slight variation. These
Benevolent, yeah.
These are police and firefighters, public employees who are trying to hire their own bosses to get them elected to the city council, and then they will get to meet with them in secret meetings, or their negotiator will meet with the city council's negotiator in secret meetings, where the union bosses and the union bosses' representatives can tell the people they just hired on the city council through the election how much money they should be getting for their pay raises and pension increases, and how much to raise taxes and fees on residents and businesses to pay for all of that.
Right. You know, Mike, what you may or may not be aware of us or the things that we've done, but we've been involved heavily in a lot of local elections here over the last 8-9 years. And one of the things that we found early on was public employee organizations meeting with candidates, requiring the candidates fill out questionnaires, and filling out those questionnaires in such a way that constituted a virtual promise not to take up certain positions. And in fact, I remember one, it's been, I think back in 2011 or thereabouts, there was a certain local office there, but one of those letters that I have in my files, I need to frame that thing and put it up on the wall, but it actually mentioned our organization, and it was one of these phrases that amounted to, I am not now, nor have I ever been, nor will I ever support mentally, vocally, publicly, privately, or otherwise, TPAC. It was, our political action committee, TPAC.
That's amazing. By the way, in the city of Redondo Beach, the police union was so bold that they advertised in the newspaper, I believe it was in either the Beach Reporter or the Daily Breeze, they actually advertised for city council candidates, actually for people to interview with them that they would support to become city council candidates. It was like a hiring process, and
correct,
a hiring interview process.
Right. Now, Mike, you also know something that I know, because a lot of people out there listening to us are wondering, how in the world can these things happen? These things start happening because of low voter turnouts in local elections.
That's part of it. There's another reason. A lot of it is fake news. I'll give you an example. As you recall, the city of Bill had a big scandal.
I do.
And there was an LA Times reporter, I forget his name, who actually won a Pulitzer Prize for a series of articles about the city of Bill. But he was going after the city council, I believe the city manager, and maybe the police chief, and maybe the finance director. He did not say anything about what the police union was getting paid. I'm not sure. Maybe Bill contracts with LA County. I'm not sure if they have their own fire department or not.
No. Bell has their own police department.
Right, own police department. But
Yep.
This LA Times reporter totally ignored and covered up what the city of Bill was paying their police officers,
right,
the union members.
Right.
And I contacted that LA Times reporter, and I told him I'm a former El Segundo City councilman. I gave my name, everything, my province, and I sent him the data I got through public records requests from the El Segundo City Hall on what we were paying our police and firefighters, showing that they start out around $150,000 and up total compensation, and later in their career they're getting, some of them, $385,000 a year or more. And I said, El Segundo has a much bigger scandal than the city of Bill. Here's the data. You can re-request it yourself and get it for yourself so you know it's correct from City Hall. And he refused to touch it because that LA Times reporter did not want to write any articles critical of labor unions.
Right. And that's it. And the Los Angeles Times, or LA Pravda, as I affectionately refer to them as, is knee-deep in ideology and liberal left-wing politics. We know that. On the other hand, they have been forced as a news organization to begin to cover these crises. But as you point out, Mike, they don't very often, if at all, make that connection to the to police and fire salaries, which are always the biggest part of that
That's right.
equation.
Exactly. And not only that, for example, the El Segundo Firefighter Union contributed campaign money to Maxine Waters. Maxine Waters is a communist.
Right.
She even threatened, during a congressional hearing, she threatened the oil company executives to have their companies nationalized and have the government take them over and run them, except she forgot the word nationalize, so she used the word socialize. She was probably
right. The same difference, yeah.
You may remember that video. You could get
I do. I
to
love this
look at it.
gal. Yeah, I think that she definitely should be the Democrat nominee in 2020.
Exactly.
My brother and I are getting behind her full force.
Yeah.
Yeah, now the El Segundo Police and Firefighters Associations, again, which are unions, and same for Redondo Beach and a number of other cities, I think Torrance, they endorsed Ted Lieu in the past.
We know him.
Yeah, and Ted Lieu is another one of these communists. He's
Yeah.
also very anti-Constitution, anti-Second Amendment, anti-free markets. He seems to be pro-North Korea, Ted Lieu, actually. He held a big event where he was trying to put pressure on Donald Trump to take away the option of a first-strike nuclear attack to disarm North Korea of its nuclear weapons and its nuclear threat.
Right.
And so it seems that Ted Lieu's even been in effect collaborating with or giving aid and assistance to North Korea, one of our worst enemies, together with Iran. In fact, North Korea it may be Iranian nuclear weapons and missiles that are being tested in North Korea, because obviously Iran does not want to test them on their own soil. But it's quite possible that they're testing them in North Korea right now.
What North Korea has definitely been a distributor of technology, and you may remember this guy named Khan, Khan. He's
Yes,
Pakistani.
I do, from Pakistan. Yes,
and he was the father of the North Korean nuclear program, and a few others around the world. The guy's a flat-out genius. He finally got out of custody. I don't know what kind of deal they cut with the guy, but he's floating around there, and he gave some promise not to help any of the bad guys. I'd be very interested to know what he's doing. But what you're pointing out here is something that's truly important. And guys like Ted Lieu and Maxine Waters all started off local. They all get a tremendous amount of money from local employee, public employee unions. They are selected because, when I say selected for candidacy, because they support the agenda, they support the salary increases. This is why I say that each and every public employee is a paid partisan political activist. No matter what the individual policies or politics of the public employees, for example, as a group, police and fire are personally very conservative, but their unions aren't. And
and the unions get their money directly out of their paycheck.
That's
and
correct.
We need to put an end to that. We really need to abolish the laws, to repeal the laws that legalize government employee unions in the first place, because there is an inherent and unavoidable conflict of interest when government employee unions can effectively hire their own bosses and then tell them how much their pay and pension increases must be and how much they must raise taxes and fees on residents and businesses. And because of that inherent unavoidable conflict of interest, and because you cannot deny them their First Amendment rights to get involved in political campaigns, we must deny them the right to engage in collective bargaining, which we can do.
Yes.
And we must deny them the right to take money out of employee paychecks that go direct to the union. Whether they're a union member or not, they get to do that.
And that was Prop 32. It failed back in 2012. We've got 1 minute with Carl.
I just want to make a quick point that when we're discussing how the police and the firemen are, that their unions are abusing the system so much, I think it's a parallel to what goes on with like Parkland, where with the gun debate that if you put kids out front at an issue, it becomes impossible for the public to speak up against it. If you put cops and firemen, the everyday blue collar heroes that keep us safe and all that, and they hide behind those issues. The unions target those jobs that become impossible to assail.
They do indeed.
Well,
hey,
we've got the facts to argue against them. Use the facts.
We're cutting a break, sir.
Mike, we're coming to a break. We'll see you on the other side.
If you like what you're hearing and would like to support Radio Free Los Angeles and the California Tax Limitation Committee, please call area code 626-792-1772, 626-792-1772, or kindly visit our website, catlc.net, catlc.net. You can also watch Radio Free Los Angeles on Facebook Live at radiofreela.us.
If you'd like to talk with Radio Free Los Angeles, the phone lines are wide open. 866-870-KRLA. That's 866-870-5752. We're live, local, and here to talk with you. 866-870-KRLA.
All right, back with you here, Mike Alexander with Carl Kozlowski and Jonathan Wilson. We're with Mike, who used to sit on the city council. There, Mike, we got you live. We're with Mike, who used to sit on the city council in El Segundo. Mike, I want to thank you for coming on tonight, and I want you to please hold on because I'm not sure if my call screener can hear me, but if he can, I would like you to leave your contact information. We'd love to be in touch with you because
Thank you.
We'd like to bring you on the program.
Yeah, thank you. I'll do that. I'd also like to point out I did go to Los Angeles City Hall for the so-called March for Our Lives, and the fake news media did not tell the people a lot about what was actually going on there.
Oh, really?
For one, these marches are costing millions of dollars, and it's not a student-led grassroots campaign by any means.
Oh, no.
They had a 20-foot wide, 10-foot tall outdoor TV screen. I counted more than 70 portable toilets out there, a huge stage a company came and erected there. There's a professional campaign company organizing all this throughout the country at each of the locations this is going on. And this is all part of the Democrat Party's campaign for the midterm congressional elections and the state elections, because the Democrat Party campaigns every day of every year. And they've got the fake news media to help them do that. All these marches, from the Women's March, which was another fake march, to the May Day March, where the communists and socialists, together with their labor union comrades, they go marching. All these marches are intended to control and manipulate and drive the daily news cycle.
Yeah.
So that way, they always want to keep things in the news, supporting the left-wing Democrat candidates and against Republicans, against people who believe in liberty and the Constitution and the right to self-defense and the Second Amendment. So everything that goes on, even like there was a case where Republican headquarters was firebombed, and they spray-painted a Nazi swastika on the building next door. And then the news coverage that came out of that makes the Republicans look bad. It got national and international news coverage where effectively it's calling the Republicans Nazis, which is absurd. The Nazis were socialists.
Yep.
Nazi stands for National Socialist German Workers' Party. The Nazis were left-wing extremists. They don't teach that in school. They have people believing they're right-wing extremists. That's not true. And I'm Jewish, by the way, and I'm the son of a survivor of pogroms against Jews in communist Russia. And I thank God every morning I wake up for another day of life, and my mother survived these mass murders against Jews by the communists.
I'm going to talk a little bit about that in the next part of the show. Mike, we want to thank you for coming on. You're a wellspring of information. Delighted that you are as sensitive to these issues as we are. Please hold our call screener. We'll take your contact information. Let's be in touch, okay?
Let's do that. Thank you. I'll hold.
Thank you. So we just had Mike from used to sit as a city councilman in El Segundo.
What a great caller.
Fantastic caller.
He sounds a lot like you do, Mike.
Well, yeah, I know that there's a lot of listeners out there who are wondering, what in the world I'm screaming about? What is it that drags an otherwise reasonable, sensible fellow out of his home on a Sunday afternoon to come down here and talk about these issues to the public? Well, you saw, Mike saw it from the inside. We see it from the outside. We're concerned about the widespread character throughout the state of California. If you're listening to this and you don't know what pension debt is or anything else, that's intentional. They don't want you to know. Mm-hmm. They really don't want you to know. And when people do find it out, it's amazing. And, it's interesting that Mike said that one of his principal campaign strategies was to print up copies of the salaries and so forth. Well, that's something that we at TPAC and the California Tax Limitation Committee have done any number of times, beginning in Glendale, a couple of times in San Marino, other cities. We've done some of it in Pasadena, also in Sierra Madre. everybody's got the same problem. I'm delighted that Mike called in from the South Bay. His issues and his complaints are the same ones that we're raising here on Sierra Madre, which brings me back to what we decided to do to take the next step. We decided that instead of just putting out narrow pieces of information that were somewhat limited, we'd move to something more formal, a regular kind of publication. It'll have a different publication schedule, but it's the Taxpayer Gazette. And we have a website. I'm not sure if it's functioning yet.
Yeah, we'll announce that tomorrow by email and Facebook.
It will be. It'll be Taxpayer.
Not quite ready yet.
It'll be taxpayergazette.com, but it's under construction, so you won't see it there tonight.
You can try to visit tonight. I'm not sure, but
all right.
But tomorrow it'll be live.
All right. Well, after a couple of shots of scotch here to celebrate Easter, Jonathan may get
the
back
way
to
that the Lord intended.
But anyway,
no, it's great. We're really excited to put this out. We put a lot of work into it.
Okay, so the first issue of the Gazette is going to be about what?
It's the Sierra Madre edition.
Go ahead.
And it focuses on this upcoming vote to repeal the utility users tax.
Yes.
So we got some great information. We got a full page in the Gazette that lists every city employee and what they make in Sierra Madre.
Right.
You talk about a bombshell.
Yeah.
Wait until folks see this.
Right.
And so it'll be hitting doorsteps probably late this week.
Yeah, so it's not just the amount, which is outrageous, or the pensions. It's just the sheer number.
It is. I mean, if you look at the number of employees in the little library in Sierra Madre,
really,
and what they pay to staff that little library per year, is astounding.
Can you give an early glimpse?
I can't right now. I didn't total it up, so
no,
I don't
that's
want
fine.
to be misquoted.
No, I just find it funny because I work at the Pasadena Weekly, and throughout the year, they're constantly having fundraisers. Friends of the Sierra Madre Library. And I'm like, how much money do you guys have to raise? And now I know why.
Yeah. So
It's
anyway,
not just to get
we're
the
really
tax dollars,
excited because I think we got a lot of great information in the Gazette. So as I said earlier, we'll have a preview of the Gazette before it goes to print tomorrow on our website, taxpayergazette.com.
Wow, so this is an actual print thing, huh?
Yeah, it's going to be.
Oh, my gosh.
It looks good, and I really want to compliment Jonathan, who did yeoman's work in the design of it, making sure that it looked like a good professional product. There's a lot of editorial content that many people have contributed. I've done some. Marcy's done some.
I want to.
Yeah, we need to get Carl.
Yeah,
I know.
Carl.
Come on, I'm America's funniest reporter for crying out loud.
I tell you what, I've done a few things in media.
Yeah.
But I've never designed a newspaper.
Good job. That's
and
great.
It was fun. But I don't know if there's much money in that business anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Hey. No, there's not.
We'll stick with radio.
That's why I'm
with
in radio.
Newspaper on the side.
Yeah.
But it's very, very powerful. I think you're going to like it. It's just the beginning. And this Taxpayer Gazette is intended not so much to be an advocate of a yes vote on, was it Measure D, out there to repeal the utility users tax. It is really intended primarily to educate the public about the issues that are underlying there. So if you're in the city of Sierra Madre and you feel like coughing up another $40 million to bring your pensions current out there, or some number like that, well, more power to you. You just need that information so that you know what's going on. But if you come to believe, as I do, that the underlying salary and benefit structure is too high, but not only too high, unsustainable, that there isn't another $40 million worth of loose change in the Sierra Madre couch, well, then you may want to consider bringing some fiscal discipline to the city of Sierra Madre.
And
now,
Mike, we've done our job, and when this Taxpayer Gazette gets out, we've done our job to educate the citizens of Sierra Madre. And so it's at that point, it's up to them. Do they want to keep the tax?
That's right.
Yeah.
We're Americans.
Yeah.
We're free people. And if you like your city, you can keep your city.
Well,
if you think you can't, it's going to cost you a lot there. So,
speaking of
pushback, Sterling is our call screener, screening a call or talking. Hello, Sterling. All right. Well, we've got another caller that's waiting for us on line 7 here. Are you there? All right, good. I want to bring on Catherine from Pasadena, who wants to. Oh, okay, you're going to give it to her. All right. I'm sure glad that this is casual Easter Sunday night. But in any event, yeah. Okay. Well, we got 2 minutes to break. Catherine, if you can hear us out there, we're going to catch you after the break. We promise to give you a fair hearing. So we got 2 minutes to go.
Well, can I mention something?
Sure.
Just really quick.
Yeah.
Something that Mike on the call was talking about with that march, because it does carry over to us, because it also, you addressed guns last week.
Yeah.
And I want to say about these marches, I have been very suspicious about these issues of, like, who is funding this thing. There's no way a bunch of teenagers is making this happen, because I put together an event in Chicago, 2016. That was just a silly thing honoring Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I got a permit to reenact in real life the parade scene, and we had permission for up to 10,000 people to buy a ticket and be part of the parade. Well, it took weeks of hoops, and I knew the head of the Chicago Film Office. So I had an inside connection. It still took us weeks, and I'm an adult. These kids are crying that they don't have any say, that nobody listens. We're minors. Watch out when we turn 18 and get the power to vote, et cetera. So if they're underage, how are they getting the money? How are they getting the ability to get cities to shut down their streets, all that stuff? So it's very suspicious, and something to be really concerned about, that because they're not going away. The media's feeding into this, and it's something that we need to be aware of and keep our eyes open on.
Yeah, well,
there's no way they're pulling that off on their own.
No, of course they're not.
Yeah.
And the point of it is that this is not only something that's happening at the national level, it's happening every day at the local level.
Yeah.
So, we are being lied to. We're being hustled. We're being conned. We are the targets of constant propaganda and misinformation or disinformation. Doesn't make any difference. And that happens at the local level. It happens at the state level. It happens at federal level. And where it really happens each and every day is the public school system. Call us. We'll be back on the other side for a final half hour. Telephone number
866-870-8752. 5752.
Come in, Southern California. This is Radio Free Los Angeles. Do you copy? Repeat, do you copy?
Now broadcasting from behind the Iron Curtain in the People's Republic of California, we bring you the voice of free men, free markets, and limited constitutional government. Welcome to citizen-sponsored Radio Free Los Angeles, with the president of the California Tax Limitation Committee, Mike Alexander, and America's funniest reporter, Carl Kozlowski.
All right, back with you, Mike Alexander, Radio Free Los Angeles. We'd love to hear from you. Please call us at 866-870-5752. We promised to get back with one of our callers who's been holding it for a while. Catherine from Pasadena would like to comment about salaries, city salaries. Are you there, Catherine?
Can you hear me?
Oh, Catherine, how are you?
Mike, this is Catherine.
Yes.
We've known each other quite a few years.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a group here in Pasadena called Patriotic Singles. Mike, I just want to compliment you for all the work you've done for many, many years. Very, very dedicated. So
thank you. You're very kind to say so.
So I wanted to alert people that I got a mailer here in Pasadena that this Wednesday night, April 4th at 6 p.m., at the PUSD headquarters at 351 South Hudson Avenue, they're going to be doing a meeting with the mayor and also one of our councilmen, that they're looking to increase our taxes here in Pasadena.
Right.
So immediately, knowing what's going on, I knew immediately, okay, this is probably for police and fire and their pensions that we have to keep supporting, so they just keep raising our taxes. That's the only way they're going to be able to do it.
That's correct, yeah. And it's always the same thing. It's for the children. It's for safer neighborhoods, roads, and whatnot. They keep selling us the same flawed product time after time after time, and it begins with the idea that somehow, some way, if we give them more money, our kids will learn more, our kids will be smarter, our streets will be safe, our streets will actually be roadworthy. And as a matter of fact, the only people whose lives improve are public employees and the others who profit from the operation of government. It is a tiresome, repetitive process that happens each and every day, and I'm delighted that you and others are increasingly aware of it. We have to make our fellow citizens aware of it and be prepared to fight back with facts, and that's what the Taxpayer Gazette is about. That's what the California Tax Limitation Committee is about. It's about getting the facts to the citizens, and we're persuaded, we know with absolute full confidence, no doubts whatsoever, that when they see what these people are making and when they see how deeply in debt their cities are, when they see and understand that our cities are ultimately going to stop working, not because we don't give them enough money, but because we gave them too much, and now they can't be paid and we can't be served. Catherine, I want to thank you for calling in. Stay with it. You're very kind in your remarks. Let us know what happens at that meeting. Call in next week. We now have Shelley from Hemet. And my understanding is that Shelley is a former city council member for what? The city of Hemet? Is that you, Shelley?
Yes, that's correct.
Very good. Thank you for calling in. Tell us your story, Shelley.
Okay, and this is great to follow up on Catherine's last call. We just went through this, and, at the city of Hemet, first off, let me say I ran tea parties before I got onto the council. Mm-hmm. And it astounded me that when I got onto the council and started fighting the fire and police, because they really are public enemy number one when it comes to pensions and the largesse that, is being enjoyed by the public employee unions, how many conservatives came out and opposed me and were shocked and appalled that I would fight these two groups.
Yes.
So I think, number one, conservatives have to take a good, long, hard look in the mirror and blame themselves for falling into the trap of the blind following of the public safety union.
That's correct.
And so, but a forewarning to Catherine, and I'll tell you what happened with ours. We had the dreaded Measure E, which was, of course, you want all people, old people and children, to die if you didn't support this public safety tax, because it was going strictly for, as you know, whenever you dedicate a tax for a specific purpose, you have to have a 2/3 vote.
Correct.
By law. They were doing that, and they put it on the ballot, and of course they didn't get it to pass. So, Catherine, watch out, because it probably won't pass in that way. Then they put it back on the ballot, and they did it as a general use tax. It was Measure U, and then they told everybody, we promise and we swear it's only going to go for cops and firefighters. Well, we had Howard Jarvis write a letter I called Howard Jarvis. They were nice enough to write a letter for me that put them on notice, which made them change the language in the ballot measure language, But still, there again, the conservatives rose up and voted themselves in a tax.
That's correct.
And I have to ask people, what do you do? Why are you working? Why, here I was the only person on my council of 5 Republicans. I was the only, conservative that said no to this tax. I'm sitting there in a room of 2,500 people screaming at me what a horrible person I was. Where were the real tax fighters?
Well, that's right.
Everybody?
Well, this relates, Shelley. It's... I've talked many times with many people about this, and I personally have had the same experience that you have, Shelley. I've been shocked at how many people yell and scream about taxes, will yell and scream about the federal legislature, that is Congress. I mean, they'll just go off forever. Or the high taxes in the state of California, particularly income taxes that we pay. But when it comes to their cities, these otherwise reliable, straight-thinking people just go stupid.
Yes.
Yeah, and then we put out these this information here about the pension debt. We get guys like Mike from El Segundo. We get you. You're not me. You're you. You've sat there on what is in effect the board of directors. You are the people that have run the city. You've seen the beast from the inside, and it's like they don't believe you. See, please don't lie to us about it.
Well, and I will tell you, they tried to tell us that the tax measure that we had was completely grassroots. It was brought to us by the citizens.
Oh,
okay, I know.
Yeah.
And so
both of them.
I had the emails from the city manager, from the loser council people, where it was all going around about how we were going to concoct a tax. We'd find some tools in the neighborhood to come out and support the tax, which they did. I had the full email chain. I released it to the newspapers. The newspapers printed it.
Really? That's pretty good.
They still voted for? Oh no, this was totally grassroots led. I mean, and at that point, I'm like, and that was the point. I said I will never go back into public office because you can do more on the outside than you can on the inside. So if Catherine's still listening, girlfriend, I'll come help you because I know what it is and I know what they're going to do.
Yes.
And the point is that we have to start helping each other. We have to focus on a city and defeat it in a city.
That's right.
We have to get in there and help each other and not feel that we've been abandoned.
That's correct. Well, when we look at your wonderful city of Hemet out there, a very old city, a very well regarded city, an affluent city. It's just it's a variable place.
Yeah, but now it's turned completely the other way because of the public employee unions. 83% of our public employees didn't even live in our valley. I mean, much less our city didn't even live in the valley. Our median income was $36,000. Per person, but the median income for one of our public employees was $112,000.
That's correct. That's right. And this is very characteristic. Statewide, the average compensation is about $120,000. Now we've only got 1 minute to go, Shelley. I want to thank you, but I'll give you parting news here and I want you to hold on because I'd like our call screener to get your information as well. We'd love to be.
I've got Shelley's information.
Oh, you do it. Okay, you got
Shelley,
it.
This is Jonathan. Thanks for calling in.
We do appreciate it. Okay, we are going to be back at the top of the hour, and I'll give you the City of Hemet's, top of the hour in about another minute. Hey, it's Easter. I'm goofy here. But we'd love to hear from you folks. Any of you out there are listening, call us, please, at area code
866-870-5752.
You got it.
And contribute at radiofreelosangeles.net.
If you like what you're hearing and would like to support Radio Free Los Angeles and the California Tax Limitation Committee, please call area code 626-792-1772, 626-792-1772, or kindly visit our website, catlc.net, catlc.net. You can also watch Radio Free Los Angeles on Facebook Live at radiofreela.us.
If you'd like to talk with Radio Free Los Angeles, the phone lines are wide open. 866-870-KRLA. That's 866-870-5752. We're live, local, and here to talk with you. 866-870-KRLA.
All right, back with you, Mike Alexander with the Carl Kozlowski and Jonathan Wilson.
Huzzah.
All right. I'm glad you guys are with us. We had two city councilmen used to be sitting in the belly of the beast. They know whereof they speak. And out there in the city of Hemet, just to let you know where she was screaming like crazy to get those salaries under control. Couldn't get conservatives, Republicans to work with her. That's why this program is nonpartisan. So if any of you out there are thinking that we're some kind of a shill for the Republican Party or some type of a tool, we've been hearing about that nonsense forever. We are not. We are patriots. We are concerned citizens. We're willing to work with anybody to turn this state and to turn our cities around. And look at Hemet out there. Their CalPERS bill, what CalPERS and the city admits that they actually owe out there for their pensions is $79 million. But that's with their fake, phony, rosy annual returns of 7.5% over the next 30 years. That ain't going to happen, forgive the bad grammar. But if you look at Stanford's numbers, they are closer, they will tell you, to being $275 million in the hole.
Ka-ching.
Ka-ching. In other words, almost $200 million more in debt. Now, even if something happens and we make a partial recovery, it's obvious that the city of Hemet, like the city of Sierra Madre and the city of San Marino and hundreds of cities throughout the state of California, are in fact fiscal illusions. And that's the purpose of the Taxpayer Gazette, which will be coming out here coming soon to a door near you. It's going to, if you're in Sierra Madre, will be the Taxpayer Gazette. And Jonathan, Marcy Guzman, and everybody is.
And yourself, Mike, you wrote several articles, so you did yeoman's work in the writing.
So. I did. At least someone put my name up there.
But it was a lot of hard work, but it's fun.
Yeah,
so
it is.
I think I'm really proud of what we put together.
I am too, and I just love the design that you did. And it's a team effort out there, folks. I'm the guy that talks the most, but believe me, it's a team out there. And there's lots of folks out there who are concerned, and that's why we're thrilled about this program and the attention that it's attracting. We're hearing from a lot of people. In fact, I had somebody come up to me from Sierra Madre here, this afternoon, who said, "Hey, look, my folks heard about this and so forth, but I thought we had a volunteer police or fire department." And I said, "No, I don't think so." And he said, "Well, we used to." "Yeah, well, how long ago was that?" he asked. And my reply was, "Well, it was about $40 million ago that they had it." But the word is spreading about our program and about what we're doing here. So, if you're concerned about your city and what's going on, please tune in. And we are going to be paying a lot of attention here very soon to a lot of issues having to do with our so-called public so-called school so-called system. We're going to be getting heavy into school choice. There was we're going to do our government grifters of the week here in a little bit, but there's one very timely story that Jonathan mentioned to me here a few minutes ago about the city of Riverside. We got a lot of supporters out there in Riverside. What's that story out there, Jonathan?
The mayor of Riverside is suing his own city. Because of the contract that the city has with the city manager.
Right.
That his contention is that it's just a giveaway of taxpayer money in the city. So you have a public servant, the mayor, who is standing up against this and is not getting any help from the city council.
Right.
So
now we know what the underlying facts are. That is that the city manager for the city of Riverside had a very fat contract.
It's incredible.
Yes.
His part of his pay package, he's making an annual salary with benefits of $471,000 a year.
Wow.
And the city is giving him a low interest rate mortgage of $675,000 on his home.
Amazing.
So I didn't know cities were in the mortgage business.
It's really and truly, it's not unusual for them to do that. But these guys get together and agree what the standard packages are going to be.
But it's interesting talking to Shelley, and she provided some great insight on what it's like from the inside.
Yes.
Because it sounds like the city council is just going up against this mayor. I think there's a couple on his side, but there are others that say there's one city councilman in Riverside quoted as saying, we need a good coach, and we need to compensate him.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, so now, and I think what was also they thought that maybe he was going to be hired by the county, so they wanted to give him more and more money to keep him in Riverside, in the city.
I mean, we see these clowns all the time bouncing around from one city to the next and get it. What really galls me is that they have the nerve to call themselves managers, right? That's why I call most of them city mismanagers instead of managers. And if we look at the city of Riverside, and once again, I have to highly recommend pensiontracker.org, the Stanford site up there, their actuarial debt, they are underwater with CalPERS. According to the CalPERS phony numbers, the absolute minimum that they're underwater is $464 million on their pension debt, right?
Gosh.
464. But if you look at if you use more reasonable rates of return, like the ones that we have in our 401k programs and so forth, where we don't have magic results, the city of Riverside is probably more like $1.9 billion. That's right.
What?
B as in baloney.
Wait,
BILLION.
One city?
That's correct. That's the city of Riverside. Now over here in Glendale, they have a similar problem. They're probably $1.7 billion underwater, and these are not terribly large cities. These are not cities with hundreds of thousands or even a million like we have here in the city of LA. So that's where we are. Now, next week we'll pick it up. We're going to announce some special guests that we're going to have here next week. I really want to thank Mike down there in El Segundo. I want to thank Shelley and, of course, Catherine, too, for calling in. You really helped make our show very pointed, and it underscores the increasing popularity that we have on the program. We want to invite people to call in, even people who disagree with us. So if anybody out there disagrees with me and you think that these pensions can be paid and will be paid, then we want to talk to you because you got the touch, man. You know, you're a genius. You are Nostradamus.
Then you can just retire and go back to your private practice.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You just go back to managing trusts and whatnot. You know, it's really crazy to listen about this and so forth. But hey, Sully, are you in there? You got our music queued up there. It's time for our favorite feature of the week. Government Grifter of the Week. Music, please.
Live from Glendale, California, it's this week's Government Grifter Awards. And the nominees this week come from nearby San Gabriel.
Uh-oh. Right here in the San Gabriel Valley again.
Yep.
That's right. And our first nomination comes from Carl Kozlowski. Carl, you want to announce your nomination?
Well, I would like to. There's a whole cabal of corruption and salaries in the city manager's office. I'll let you handle that, Jonathan. But I'd like to know who the heck is the counter specialist and why they're getting $95,244 to specialize in counters. Is this
counter special? Where the heck is that?
Are they counting things? Are they creating counters, like running the wood shop? Are they Are they there to just argue with the specialist?
Yeah,
whoever that may be. That's counter specialist.
That's a great nomination, just based on
it is.
So many things they do for that $95,000, none of which makes sense.
Yeah. Right.
All right. Well,
we got some great stuff there. I mean, we've got. You guys are passing up some good stuff here.
No, we got it. That was just one nomination. We're not finished yet.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
You ready? Okay, and the second nominee, we're going to go with the executive assistant to the city manager.
Oh, yeah.
There's two of them.
Right. You just blew my joke.
Oh, shoot.
That's okay. Now, the executive assistant to the city manager, $88,217 per year.
What a bargain.
Salary and benefits. And the third nominee is also another executive assistant to the city manager at $97,745 per year.
So one city manager of a town of 39,718 has two executive assistants
that are making close to $100,000 apiece.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Well, Marcy Guzman totaled it up here when she put together the nominees here. She totaled up the city mismanager's office there in San Gabriel. It looks as a total budget for personnel of about $1 million, just a little over
$1,031,494 for
Amazing.
6 people's salaries.
So you got the city mismanager, the assistant city mismanager, an executive assistant to the city mismanager, another executive assistant to the executive assistant of the city mismanager.
Wow.
She added in the chief city clerk there. So we'll have to back that out. Back out $250. You'd back down to about $700,000 in the city mismanager's office. Amazing.
Well, there's a lot more good stuff in here we can't get to.
Yeah.
But I also wanted to nominate the city manager because he's got 2 very well paid assistants and an assistant city manager. And the city manager in San Gabriel, 2016 pay and benefits of $326,441.
Wow. And how many people in the city of San Gabriel?
39,716.
Well, that's a lot of people to take care of.
Yeah.
Don't be too rough on these guys.
I know.
Hey, but he takes care of his own. Look, some guys climb the ladder they don't take anybody with them. Yeah. Well, this guy did. He's
paying his assistant.
The assistant, $256. One of these days he'll make his bones and work his way up in the mob.
So now for the envelope, please.
Envelope, please. All right. Music.
Interesting. And the winner of this week's Government Grifter Awards is the Counter Specialist.
At $95,244.
This is Counter Specialist. First nomination and first Grifter Award. Congratulations, Counter Specialist.
That's
Keep working on those counters.
I love how we're playing the greatest love of all.
Oh,
it's so special.
It is. Hey, but be sure, Counter Specialist, you know who you are. Call us. Tell us what you do for this kind of money. We really want to know. We've got all kinds of people ready to apply your job. We've got 1 minute to go, and I want to thank everybody tonight for coming in on Easter night. I want to thank my wife for letting me go. I'm a big shot on radio, but at home I do like I'm told, just like everybody else. So we want to thank you all. Come on back next week. Visit our website at radiofreelosangeles.net. Give us a little love. Give us a little money. Tune in next week. And don't forget, later on in the week, go to taxpayergazette.com for the news. This is Mike Alexander, Carl Kozlowski, and Jonathan Wilson wishing you a good night, and we'll see you next week.
Happy Easter, everyone.
Happy Easter.